is the Fox 5 News Block.
Now boarding 100 NYPD officers take to the subways overnight. Details on the new push to crack down on crime and make riders feel safe. And President Trump's first full day back in the White House is a busy one. A look at how he's already starting to shape his agenda for the next year ahead. Good afternoon. I'm Bianca Peters. Welcome to the News Block. Those stories in just a moment. First, a live look outside right now. Frigid temperatures. Let's bring in meteorologist Audrey Puente for a look at the forecast. Audrey.
Yeah, it looks icy out there, Bianca. We definitely have some cold weather in place across the tri-state area, so much so that the National Weather Service has us under a cold weather advisory for the areas across interior New Jersey and parts of the Hudson Valley, too. This goes until noon tomorrow, and this is where we could experience not only deep freeze temperatures, but also wind chills well below zero. Right now, the current temperatures are pretty cold. We're at 20 degrees in Bridgeport, 19 in Central Park, 17 in White Plains. That's the same number we're finding up towards Poughkeepsie. It's 11 degrees in Monticello, and the winds, well, they're relatively light. However, that little bit of wind is adding to the chill factor, and this is what it actually feels like outside. Our wind chills are in the single digits in many spots, including right here in New York City with a wind chill of 8 degrees in Central Park. 8 also in Islip, feeling like just 1 degree down in Belmar. But check out what's happening in Monticello. It feels like 0 right now. It will feel cold for the rest of the afternoon and into the evening. We have this Arctic air mass that has encompassed much of the U.S. here. We have bitterly cold temperatures from the Canadian border all the way down towards the Gulf Coast, where they're experiencing some record level temperatures there, as well as some snowfall too. They're actually breaking records with the amount of snow they're experiencing there. We don't have any snow in our region, just some clouds in place. There could be some sun peeking through from time to time, but overall it's going to be a mixed sky as we go through the rest of the afternoon here. Going into tonight, temperatures will be in the teens here in the city, but will be down in the single digits in other spots. Factor in that light wind and it will feel below zero in many locations, and tomorrow we're expecting more frigid weather. We're expecting a warm up too. I'll have the details on that coming up. Bianca?
All right, Audrey, thanks so much. Meanwhile, a new effort to tackle subway crime now underway. Overnight subway patrols began as part of a $154 million safety push by Governor Hochul. NYPD officers will ride every subway train between the hours of 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. Last night saw 100 officers deployed to A, G, J, and L trains. The push is being rolled out in phases until 300 officers are on every overnight train. Some New Yorkers we spoke with were skeptical.
You think it'll make a difference?
Not really, to be honest.
Why not?
I don't think so. There are too many trains, and you can't fill every car with an officer.
It's not going to work.
Why not?
It's 2 police officers on a whole train. Things are going on in one car, and they don't know. Other people are running off the train.
The NYPD says the MTA will announce when officers are on board a train, and officers will also change cars at each stop. Meanwhile, firefighters are on alert after 2 new fires break out in San Diego County early this morning. This news comes as officials say winds are picking up in Southern California. One of those fires, dubbed the Palo Fire, broke out west of I-15 in Palo Mesa. So far, this fire has burned 30 acres. Evacuation orders were initially issued but have since been lifted. Meanwhile, evacuation orders and warnings are underway for the Lilac Fire. That fire broke out in the Bonsal Escondido area of San Diego early this morning as well. Some news overseas now. The Taliban has released a pair of American hostages in a prisoner exchange with the U.S. That deal was announced by the Taliban's foreign ministry, which said the Americans were exchanged for Khan Muhammad, who was serving a life sentence in California on terrorism and narcotics charges. A U.S. national security spokesperson released a statement celebrating the release of Americans Ryan Corbett and William McKenty. That deal to free 2 was completed by Biden administration officials. And the very latest now from the White House. Today is President Donald Trump's first full day back in office for his second term. Fox's Rebecca Castor is in Washington with a look at how his agenda is taking shape.
For the first time in 4 years, President Trump is waking up at the White House, and he's getting right to work. President Trump began his second day in office with a prayer service at the National Cathedral in Washington. The new president is moving full steam ahead, issuing a flurry of executive orders and directives. And his agenda is already taking shape as people associated with the January 6th attack start leaving prison after being pardoned.
We knew that was coming because he promised it. promises made, promises kept.
But some of Trump's executive orders are already facing legal challenges. The ACLU filed a lawsuit last night saying his decision to end birthright citizenship for children born in the U.S. to illegal immigrants violates the 14th Amendment.
Trump's order is basically saying if you're not here legally to begin with, you and your offspring aren't subject to jurisdiction of the United States.
Meanwhile, new Vice President J.D. Vance swore in Secretary of State Marco Rubio this morning after he was unanimously confirmed by the Senate.
The priority of the United States Department of State will be the United States.
Now senators are moving quickly to confirm other cabinet members, hearing from UN Ambassador nominee Elise Stefanik and Veterans Affairs Chief nominee Doug Collins today.
If I'm confirmed by this body, the VA will be my mission.
The UN has not lived up to this founding mission, and we must demand better.
And later today, President Trump is expected to make a major announcement on infrastructure. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox 5 News.
Well, after the inauguration, President Donald Trump signed an executive order trying to end birthright citizenship in the United States. New York Attorney General Letitia James says her office is prepared to fight back. In a statement, James says for over 156 years, the United States Constitution has clearly stated that anyone born on our nation's soil is a citizen of the United States, and her office is prepared to fight back to uphold the Constitution. Meanwhile, the local migrant community living on edge, knowing the president is planning to carry out his promises on major immigration policy changes very quickly. Fox 5's Stephanie Bertini spoke with several asylum seekers about their concerns.
This man from Venezuela didn't want to show his face, but he opened up about how he and other migrants are feeling about the threat of mass deportations under the new Trump administration. We have the worry. What will happen with us? Will they deport us? Will they give us asylum or not? Will they not help with the work permit? He's one of many living in a New York City migrant shelter, one of the many who crossed the border and came to New York City during a surge local officials called the Migrant Crisis. Naina Gupta is the policy director at the American Immigration Council, an organization pushing for immigration reform.
At the community level, there's certainly a lot of anxiety and fear about what this new administration will mean for immigration law and policy.
During his campaign for another 4 years in the Oval Office, immigration was a focal point for President Trump. And when he won the 2024 election, many say fear and uncertainty started to grow amongst migrants, including asylum seekers, those with temporary protected status, those who fall under DACA, which stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, and the undocumented community. Immigration attorney Cheryl David weighing in.
Since the election, we have been working overtime in my office because people are scheduling consultations, just more out of social work.
Mario Russell is the executive director of the Center for Migration Studies. He says Trump's second term as president may have greater impact on the migrant community and mixed status families than his first term.
We know that there are well over 5 million households with a U.S. citizen, child, or spouse. These families will effectively be separated or forced to make decisions there that are really going to be hurting deeply that family, not to mention the communities in which they're a part, right? Whether it's the jobs they hold, the religious institutions in which they participate, and the schools and neighbors and friends. So these are threats and concerns that run very, very deep, and in some ways kind of on a far greater scale than what we saw about 8 years ago.
This woman, an undocumented immigrant from Mexico, asked us to blur her face. She's been living in the United States for years with no path to citizenship, she says. Are you afraid, I ask? Yes, the truth is yes, she responds. This is heavy, says this asylum seeker from Colombia, also telling me she's afraid of being deported. And with President Trump back in the Oval Office, time will tell what the implications of his promises mean for the migrant community. Stephanie Bertini, Fox 5 News.
And for the very latest on the Trump administration, you can stay up to date on the Fox Local app right on your phone. You can watch all of our live newscasts and breaking news from anywhere that you are. Just scan the QR code to download the free Fox Local app to your phone now. Meanwhile, a new exhibit opening in the city next week will show visitors what it was like for Anne Frank to live in hiding. Anne Frank, the exhibit is being hosted by the Center for Jewish History in Union Square. It includes a full-scale recreation of the annex apartment in Amsterdam, where Frank and her family hid from the Nazis during World War II. It's decorated and furnished as it was then. This aims to honor Frank's life and not just her tragic fate.
The exhibition hopefully will also offer a deeper and maybe multifaceted view of who Anne Frank was. Not just the victim of the Holocaust, but also just a girl, just a teenager.
So the exhibit opens Monday, which is also International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Meanwhile, today is the first day of the city's Restaurant and Broadway weeks. You can expect to see discounted multi-course meals at select restaurants throughout the 5 boroughs now through Sunday, February 9th. And then after, you can grab a bite. You can also get a deal to check out the big stage. For the same discount period, you can buy 2 Broadway tickets for the price of 1 at several shows, including Sunset Boulevard, Romeo and Juliet, and Gypsy. All right, let's take a live look outside right now. I mean, not too much sun to look at here, but it is just cold. So as long as you're protected, you'll be okay.
That's true. It's more about the wind or the light wind and the chilly temperatures today, Bianca. We do have a cloud deck that's in place. We've seen some sun kind of peeking through from time to time, but I think the clouds will win out as we go through the afternoon. We're under the influence of high pressure, which is going to keep things dry for us here. Big storm system moving through the southeast and the Gulf Coast today. That's making big weather news where they're seeing snow for the first time in decades across parts of the deep south here. The rest of the country is very quiet and storm-free, but very cold. We have this Arctic blast that has worked its way across most of the nation here. The warm spot on the map is down towards Miami, where they're at 79 degrees, and boy, does that sound nice right now. All right, high pressure is going to keep us nice and dry for the rest of the afternoon, and it looks like we'll have clear skies tonight. Now, the good news about this area of high pressure, too, is it's going to keep that system that's down to our south suppressed just offshore here. The snow is trying to work its way inland. It could clip portions of the eastern part of Long Island late tonight, but that's about it. I think we'll stay dry as we go through the rest of the evening for most of us and through the day on Wednesday. It'll be another bright day, but a very blustery and cold one, too, as our temperatures stay well below the freezing mark. And we stay cold for the next few days, and we also stay rain and snow free. We could see a few more clouds decorating the sky as we go into Thursday, but again, we'll stay pretty quiet for our weather pattern. No storms in sight. It's just going to be really cold across the region. So today we're looking at high temperatures in the teens. We may squeeze out 20 in Central Park. Tonight we're dropping down into the single digits and below 0 for the actual temperature up towards the Hudson Valley. Tomorrow, cold once again with a high of only 21 in the city. We rise to the freezing mark by Saturday, and we'll be above freezing for a change as we go into Sunday. Bianca?
All right, Audrey, thanks so much. Well, that is your news block for now. I'm Bianca Peters. Thanks for joining us. Tune into the 5 o'clock news on Fox 5 and right here in Fox Local for all the day's news as it develops. We'll see you back here tomorrow.